Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I sound quite rough, but I'm not feeling too bad. Behind me today is the A7 that I picked up last week, and in this vid I'm going to give you a thorough walk around of this car, a drive on those lanes as well, and give you my impressions on an Audi A7. It's the first Audi that I've ever owned. I've driven a few on the channel, but I've never owned an Audi, so it'll be quite interesting from a guy that's always had some Mercs and some BMWs and some various other cars to give an impressions review of the first week since I've owned the Audi A7. So yeah, let's go and give you guys a walk around of my Audi A7. So here we are, this is our Audi A7. This one's finished off in a colour called Firmament Blue. It's like a navy blue, I think it is, like a midnight blue, but it's quite a nice colour in, like, when you actually seen it. It's kind of like a black and a bit of grey and a bit of blue, a lot of going on. I really do like the front end. I think from all the Audis at the moment, I think this front end really rocks. It's quite sporty as well. From the front end, it's quite distinctive A7 compared to an A6, because I think the A6 has slightly different designed lights on the front. We'll get onto the lights in a bit. This one is the S line, so it comes with the 20-inch twin 5-spoke alloy wheels. And yeah, we got some S-line badging over here. It does have the chrome window surrounds. I'm not sure whether I'm going to de-chrome that, but we'll go along and see what happens. And then around the back end, we've got some more chrome work going on. Now, I've never really been fond of how like the back end of modern Audis look, because they have this kind of like a real weird looking fake exhaust system, or exhaust trims rather. With this one, it's not too bad, because those trimmings, they don't really look like an exhaust trim. But again, if I'm going to de-chrome the car, that'll be something that comes off. I really do like this cool design again on the light, which really gives the car some proper stance as well, and accentuates how wide the look is on the back. You obviously got the A7 badging. Oh yeah, and by the way, this one is a diesel, but it's a 50 TDI. We'll come on to the naming structure of Audis, because I'm just trying to learn what they all mean. But yeah, it's a kind of a big executive car, to be honest, and that's the thing, this is an executive car. Personally, I think as far as Audi designs go with big large cars, I think this one looks quite good, which is the reason probably why I actually went ahead and bought this car. But I really do like the front end. You have got actual air vents here, as you can see, they're open. If we just move around to the interior of the car, one thing for sure is this car is a tech fest. It's got dual screens over there. You got a virtual cockpit view over here, and the seats, they're part leather and part Alcantara, and the Alcantara theme continues onto the door card as well. And you got obviously some electric seat memory buttons over there. Other little touches that I do like is like your dash over here, it's leather stitched. The top end of the door cards as well, they're leather stitched as well. And generally speaking, like the fit and finish of the whole interior, it's pretty much better than any other German car that I've actually owned, like whether that be a Porsche, whether that be my various BMWs or Mercedes or what have you. And this is a class above everything else, and it's just so refreshing. So if you look at the rear end of the car, the rear legroom, that seat is in my driving position, but it's moved back a little bit because it's got I think it's called comfort exit, so the seat rolls back a little bit. But yeah, it's got plenty of space in the back. The headroom seems to be quite good. I did have like a 6-footer in there yesterday, and they didn't really struggle for any space. And again, you got the Alcantara seats in the back with half leather, so I think it's quite a nice long distance cruiser. And one other feature I like is that it's got soft closing doors, so if I just drop that door in there, yeah, that's quite nice. Boot space, practicality wise, if that's your kind of thing, you might as well do that for completeness. You got an automated tailgate, and you got a massive boot. That's big enough. You can get, I don't know, 3 suitcases in there, if that's your kind of thing. And under here, I think you've got a, yeah, space saver wheel. But yeah, I think it's quite a nice spacious car, to be honest with you, with quite a lot of space, not only for your passengers but your luggage as well. And I can really see myself doing some road trips in this car. And you know, it's pretty much the reason why I bought this car, for exactly that. You know, I want to do some road trips in this. I want to be traveling up and down the country in this in pretty much comfort, and that is pretty much what this car is all about. Let's talk about the engines. So the powertrain of this particular car, this one's a 50 TDI. 50 meaning that it's actually a 3-litre turbo diesel, and it's a V6 platform as well, which is quite nice because, you know, you do get that nice kind of a smooth engine drive. This one does have a mild hybrid system, and I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit more about that on the drive. But yeah, 3-litre diesel essentially in a V6 format. It pumps out 286 horsepower and 620 newton meters of torque. Now that figure there is what makes this car effortless to drive, and I'm going to sum this car up in certain words towards the end of this vid. Hopefully I have ticked off quite a few things in that walk around in terms of what the car's about, the engine, the powertrain, that kind of a thing. I have got some good plans with this car as well, which will be covered in the next few vids on this thing. But yeah, what we'll do now is we're going to take you for that drive and give you my driving impressions of this car. So while we get out there on those country lanes, let me just talk to you guys about the powertrain on this car. I've already mentioned that it's a V6 turbo diesel engine, but it's got a mild hybrid tech pack on it as well. Now what essentially that does is it's got a 48-watt battery in the boot floor, and it assists with certain things. So for example, one thing that I've noticed, and I think is pretty good on a car like this, is that when you are just driving in like either comfort or auto mode, and you let go off the accelerator, the car will coast. No big deal, most modern cars do that. But what this actually does is it shuts down the engine, and when it shuts down the engine, you are literally just coasting on the 4 wheels, and then obviously when, like, you know, you put your foot back on the accelerator, the engine just kicks in seamlessly. Before we go like fully hybrid or fully electric, I'm not really ready for that change just yet, but mild hybrid is a way for me to start appreciating the kind of hybrid systems and then go fully electric at some point. That is going to be inevitable, but I'm going to try and hold on to internal combustion engines as long as I can. The other thing that I've noticed is that this car has the ZF gearbox, the 8-speed ZF, which I think is a fantastic gearbox in most iterations, whether it's through BMWs or Jags and whatnot. In this car, I don't know whether it's a software issue, it does feel a little bit hesitant to kick down, but it's not like it catches you out. So we're on the country lanes. I'm going to put the car into dynamic. We got a drive select button down here, haptic feedback, and I'm going to whack the car into dynamic, which basically just means that the gearbox is now also into sport, and the throttle response is more sharp, a bit like putting the car into sport or sport plus if it was a BMW. The 3-litre diesel engine, it does make a nice sound. It's a sound, it's not like an engaging sound. Obviously it's the diesel power. Steering picks up a nice amount of weight as well, which is quite good. It's got a nice rumble. The brakes are good. There is a bit of body roll in the car. Feels like you're driving a boat. But it's not a car that you want to really be throwing around bends as such. It's not the purpose of this car. It's a complete cruiser. One thing I have noticed as well with all the safety aids that this car has is that it's got lane keep assist. So every time you just swerve a little bit over the lane, it then intervenes and pulls you back in. But I'm going to switch that straight off because that's a bit intimidating at times. It's got a decent amount of pull, like, you know, it will just hold the gear and use that 620 newton meters of torque to pull you through. You have got the performance on this car. You know, 286 horsepower isn't something to be sniffed at. It is a V6 diesel. You've got that amount of torque. I mean, I've still got my M4 for like my driving thrills, don't get me wrong, but this car, as soon as we picked it up, you know, we went on a road trip, and it was effortless to drive. You know, it was quiet, refined, you could hold a conversation, put the radio on and all of that good stuff, and doesn't really, like, you know, kind of feel like it's underpowered. I mean, this car is a 2-ton car, and you can actually get this car with a 2-litre diesel engine and Personally, I would totally avoid that, only because that engine in this car would probably be, you know, underwhelming. This engine, this gearbox is totally well suited to this car. I'm quite glad that I made that choice. I don't even think I was even considering looking at the 2-litre diesel engine in this, because I was just totally pointless. Yes, and you can of course go and, you know, get a few petrol engines, and I think there's a hybrid. I think that's the 55 TFSI E or something like that. I didn't really consider any of those, I'll be honest. I was just after this particular engine. Let's come out of this. You know, it gets down the road 0 to 60 in this is like something like 5.7 seconds, and trust me, you know what, that's plenty. I genuinely think it's actually more like closer to like 5 than 5.7. I mean, 5.7 seconds, I mean, that was a figure that my Honda Civic Type R had, the FK2, 0 to 60, and that was obviously a proper hot hatch, whereas this is a, you know, 2-ton luxury limo per se. I'm absolutely convinced that this was the right car that I got into. The steering wheel is quite light to start with, which again is quite a nice thing, because, you know, when you're just pulling around town, you want the steering wheel to be quite nice and light. The seats are quite supportive. I actually like that they're part leather. I've generally had like full leather seats, and with this one being like, say, half Alcantara, they do give you the nice amount of grip levels as well. And on the cold winter morning, I'm sure these are going to be that little bit warmer or quicker to warm up than, say, sitting on like some full leather seats. The driving position is quite nice. The steering is quite direct. It doesn't give you a, how can I put it, a sporting, a driver orientated drive per se, like a BMW does, like an engaging drive is what I'm trying to say. This car is more kind of set back a little bit in terms of, it's more relaxing to drive, compared to, like, say, a BMW. I'm sure, like, you know, the 5 Series is a more engaging drive than this. Other cars that I was considering in looking at, there weren't really any, I'll be honest. I mean, it was either going to be an A7 or I would have just held off. I didn't really consider a 5 Series because I had one in the past, and you know, and the current, you know, G30, I believe, is a car that's been around for a while, and it's not one that was going to interest me. I did like to get, or I did at one point was looking at getting the 6 Series Grand Coupe, not the GT. I think the GT is a hideous car in my opinion. But again, the 6 Series GC is a car which again has been around for a while. I think it still looks pretty good, but again, just that little bit dated from a tech point, I think. And that was it. I mean, a Mercedes CLS, I didn't really consider. I kind of think that it just looks a bit too closely related to like the E-Class, so I was a bit like, no, I'll give that one a miss. But the A7 was the car, I think, from my point, which was the one that I had my heart set on. And also, I've never really owned an Audi, so I thought, let's just give that a try. I think overall I am impressed with, like, say, the build quality on this car. The tech, I got used to it within, like, say, 5 minutes of driving it. So apart from, like, say, the initial hesitancy of, oh, where's, like, say, you know, the heat seat button, or where's, like, the temperature control, I got used to that within 5 minutes, so that was not even anything to be worried about. We'll see how this journey goes with Audi. You know, I mean, there's going to be plenty of content coming out. I've already got some planned changes for this car visually, so stay tuned for that. So in summary, if I had to use a few words to describe this car, how would I describe it? It's definitely a luxurious, long distance, comfortable cruiser, and I can say that because I've used it for those type of journeys. And you know, you're getting out the other end without feeling fatigued, without, you know, kind of thinking, oh, that was a bit of a harsh ride, or, you know, it was a bit of a difficult journey. None of that. So yeah, I really think that this car, you know, it lives up to what this car is about. You know, it's not a half-assed attempt at, you know, per se Grand Coupe kind of thing. I think it's a very stylish looking car. One other cool feature that I really like about this car is that you can deploy its spoiler. The spoiler will come up when you're doing above 75 miles an hour automatically, and then you know it will fold itself away, but you've got this little button down here where you can just press it and keep it up. And I really like the way the spoiler just deploys itself. I really think it's like a cool feature on the car like this. What otherwise might look like a bit of a corporate look, when you've got the spoiler up, it certainly looks like it's got a little bit more kind of road appeal as well. I hope that you have enjoyed my initial review of this car. You know, give it a like if you have, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment in the comment section below, and hopefully guys, I'll see you on the next one. Take care, bye.